All right, welcome to the Jim Acosta Show, and it's another day that ends in Y and Donald Trump's assault on American democracy. Trump and his top aides are now openly talking about cracking down on free speech in America. This comes as new documents were released by the House Oversight Committee and Epstein Gate. We're waiting to see if there are any significant documents in this latest batch. But here to discuss is Massachusetts Democratic Congressman Jim McGovern. He's the ranking member of the House Rules Committee. And that's one of the key committees, I should note, that will come into play as lawmakers on the Hill try to avoid a government shutdown. And Congressman, I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. But thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Happy to be with you.
And I guess if we can jump right into it, let me ask you about some of these comments that you're hearing from Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Attorney General Pam Bondi. They seem to be setting out oh, there goes my dog. There's Duke right there.
Hey, Duke.
There's Duke. Hey. Sometimes he has a little too much fun on these things. No, but the president, the vice president, Attorney General Pam Bondi, they seem to be creating a new category for speech in this country, unprotected speech in this country, saying they're going to go after what they call hate speech. And they seem to be saying, well, if you say unpleasant things about Charlie Kirk or any number of things, they could go after you. Trump was talking about going after Jonathan Karl with ABC earlier today. What's your response to all that? And we'll get into some of these other issues, but I wanted to ask you about that first.
Well, I think it's chilling. I really do. I mean, free speech is a hallmark of our democracy. It's enshrined in the Constitution. And that Donald Trump or Pam Bondi or J.D. Vance are going to somehow tell us what is acceptable speech. I mean, that really is chilling. We know how thin-skinned they are. So if you say anything mildly negative about Donald Trump, the next thing you're going to be the subject of an investigation. I mean, I have a colleague in the Rules Committee, Chip Roy, who's proposing a special committee to investigate kind of radical leftists. I mean, and who's going to define what that is? I mean, look we can all agree that the murder of Charlie Kirk was a tragedy. It is unacceptable. It is horrible. Should never have happened. But everybody that I know of on the Democratic side here in Congress has rightly condemned it. But when people on the Republican side, on the right wing of our country, are using it as an opportunity, basically to advance their agenda, to push this authoritarian, viewpoint on the rest of the country, to control speech. I mean, that's disgusting. It really is disgusting.
Yeah. And I guess on the Epstein matter, I know you've been commenting on this, but it sounds as though the House Oversight Committee is releasing some new documents today. I wanted to ask you about that because it seems as though Trump is still playing hide the football on this. They're releasing some documents, not all documents. What, if anything, can be done about it? Could Democrats insist perhaps that the documents be released, or else you're not going to keep the government up and running? I'm just throwing out ideas here, but your thoughts?
Well, first, we have this discharge petition that Congressman Massey, who's a Republican from Kentucky, has introduced, along with Congressman Cano, who's a Democrat from California. And we're at, I think, 217 signatures. We need 218 to kind of force the leadership in this House to deal with it. Hopefully to bring it to the floor. They can always find a way to try to derail it. But the bottom line is this whole issue has been largely pushed by Donald Trump and his supporters. And I thought we were about to get all the documents when Pam Bondi said they were on her desk and she's about to release them. And then all of a sudden, without any explanation, we can't release them. There's nothing there. There's no there. And but the pressure and the insistence on full transparency continues, not just from Democrats, by the way, but mostly from Republicans, mostly from Trump's base. And so this is not going to go away. And again, there has to be a reason why Trump doesn't want them released. Because if there's nothing there, then just release them. I met with some of the survivors who came here. They want them released. And even people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't really give her credit for anything, but I'll give her credit for being consistent on this, is calling for them to be released. Just release them. But it's not going away. In the Rules Committee, every bill that comes before the Rules Committee, I offer an amendment to bring the Massey counter bill to the floor for a vote. There ought to be a debate. We ought to have a vote. If the administration is not going to release them on their own, then we need a law to compel them to release them.
Yeah. And I guess Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, was at the Senate Judiciary Committee earlier today, and he was asked by a Republican Senator, Kennedy of Louisiana, about what information the FBI has about people that Jeffrey Epstein was sex trafficking children to. And I guess let's listen to that, and I'll ask you about it on the other side.
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
I mean, if I were the senator there, I would have asked a follow-up question. That doesn't make any sense to me,
Yeah,
Congressman.
And did you talk to the survivors?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like really? I mean, that sounds like Kash Patel. First of all, I wouldn't trust him to tell me the correct time. But putting that aside,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like he's covering up for Donald Trump. And so the way to put this all to rest is to release all the files. Let's have a full accounting. Enough of this stonewalling. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems that's just not a credible answer at all. I mean, like you were saying, if you talk to the Epstein survivors, they have said on numerous occasions and have made these allegations time and again that both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were engaging in child sex trafficking, and that's just what was going on, and she's in prison for it. I mean, so I don't get this.
They are both monsters, right? They are both monsters, and if you talk to the survivors, that view of them only gets reinforced. But I was really struck by Kash Patel's comment that there's no there.
Yeah,
that somehow everything is fine. And again, I mean, there's lots of questions we have to ask. Like why does Ghislaine Maxwell, after she talks to an attorney that was affiliated with Donald Trump, after she said, "Oh, this Trump is perfectly innocent. There's nothing there." All of a sudden gets transferred to this cushy prison, like this country club prison. I mean, is that just coincidence? How did that happen? There's lots of questions here. Again, they can be answered if they just release the damn files. If there's nothing there, if there's no mentions of Donald Trump, if there's no mention of anybody else, and if then the full transparency will put this to rest. But I think they're afraid that the release of these trials will raise other questions, including how did Epstein get this kind of initially from former Secretary of Labor, Acosta? How do you get that sweetheart deal in the beginning? But this is not going away. This is not going away. Democrats, again, on the Rules Committee, we continue to raise this issue. We continue to force votes, and quite frankly, many people in Trump's MAGA base are insisting that there be transparency.
Yeah. Well, you brought up Alex Acosta, and as I like to say, when his name is brought up, no relation. We're not related in any way. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump has said that himself. Let me ask you this, because the clock is ticking towards a government shutdown. Apparently, by the end of the month, you have to have a continuing resolution passed to keep the government funded and running. And it sounds as though there's something in the works to perhaps get something passed as early as this week. What are your thoughts on that? There are a lot of Democrats who are saying, why are we funding a government if they're going to be paying for ICE raids, expanded ICE raids, and all sorts of other horrific things? But your thoughts?
So as we're speaking, I just ducked out of the Rules Committee, and we're taking testimony on the Republican version of a continuing resolution. But here's the deal. There's three choices here. One is Republicans can work with Democrats to come up with a bipartisan continuing resolution that would address an immediate crisis in healthcare, right? People's premiums are about to skyrocket because of the expiration of these tax credits and other things. A lot of people are going to lose their health insurance, and we can't wait until December to deal with it. It's a crisis that's going to happen right now. So they can work with us, and we can address that healthcare cliff and pass something in a bipartisan way. Two, Republicans can do what Donald Trump has told them to do: pass it on your own. I mean, they control the House, the Senate, and the White House. And you know, we saw last week that the Republicans were willing to nuke the filibuster for nominees. I'm sure Trump might ask them to do the same for this, so they could pass it on their own. Or the third thing is that Republicans can shut the government down. But this is all in their hands. And I got to be honest with you. I mean, I can't go home to my constituents and say, you know, we knew this healthcare crisis, this healthcare cliff was about to happen, and we did nothing. And your premiums are going to skyrocket. I can't do that. Or the people are going to lose their health insurance. I mean, if this were a tax cut for billionaires, you bet your life the Republicans, you know, would vote to extend it and put it in the CR. But because it's healthcare for like working families, they don't give a shit. I mean, they just don't. And it really is stunning to me. I mean, we don't share the same values. I said that on the House floor today. I mean, you know, the stuff that they champion is stuff that I can't even relate to. I mean, I don't know any multi-billionaires, I think I know a couple of millionaires, but you know, I mean, but
Probably serve with a couple, maybe. But
right, yeah, we serve with a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is ridiculous. Their priorities are all screwed up, and again, but this is all in their hands. I mean, if there's a shutdown, they created it, not us. They're responsible. They own this.
Yeah, and last time around, there was a lot of consternation in the Democratic Party over whether or not Democrats should have gone along with Republicans in keeping the government running the last time around. And it seems as though there may be, I don't know, perhaps a split in the Democratic Party, or some Democrats are saying, why are we helping the Republicans here? Like, as you were saying, if the Republicans have the numbers, let them take responsibility for this. But it sounds as though they're in a jam and they may be looking to Democrats to bail them out.
Look, I think
thoughts on that.
I think a lot of our base was frustrated because some in our party were a cheap date. They went along to go along. Had we been tougher, maybe we could have gotten something. And I think, you know, that's where we are right now. To go along with them right now means that we're going to screw a whole bunch of people who are going to lose their health care and who are going to see their premiums skyrocket between now and December, and with no guarantee that they'll even fix it in December. I mean, they don't care about this stuff. We know that. So if they want to pass the CR, they have three choices. Again, they can work with us and address this healthcare issue. They can pass it on their own, and they control all three branches of government. I mean, all two branches. I mean, the House, the Senate, and the White House. Or they can shut the government down if that's what they choose to do. But if they do, they own it. And they know what they can do to get our votes. And so far, this CR in the Rules Committee right now, I just saw it a couple of hours ago. I mean, they just dropped it on us. There was no negotiation with Democrats in the Appropriations Committee, no negotiation with our leadership, nothing. So this is their very partisan bill, and they try to say it's a clean bill. Give me a break. This is a dirty bill. This is a dirty bill. It's dirty because it screws a lot of people and throws a lot of people off of health care.
Yeah, and the way that the so-called big beautiful bill, if and when that takes shape, that is going to screw people even more when it comes to healthcare. People who are on Medicaid are just going to get the shaft, and you're absolutely right about it. The other thing I wanted to run by you, and I mentioned it earlier, I want to come back to it before I let you go, is Trump. I mean, he threatened the press today, and I guess that's nothing new in Washington, but Jonathan Karl was asking him over at ABC about what Pam Bondi had said about hate speech and going after hate speech. And this is what Trump had to say. I want to play it for you, and we can end the conversation this way. We have that. Matt, do we have that? There we go.
Is that, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
We probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech. So maybe they'll have to go after you. Look, we want everything to be fair. It hasn't been fair. And the radical left has done tremendous damage to the country. But we're fixing it. We have right now the hottest country anywhere in the world. And remember, 1 year ago, our country was dead. And now Washington, D.C. is fixed, and I fixed it.
Okay. except for the bullshit at the very end there. Your thoughts? I mean, the way he talks about going after speech, I don't think it should concern just journalists now. I think that it should concern everybody.
We can't let political violence be an excuse to go after free speech. He's exploiting a tragedy, and that's what he does all the time, and so do his allies. And it's scary. And you know what? This is a moment for courage. It's a moment for courage for people in Congress. You have to stand up and speak the truth, and deal with the incoming. It's a moment for the press too. And appreciate Jonathan Carl asking that question. But people have to. This is a moment of courage, not to downplay things. This is serious. Look, there are lots of changes happening in our country very quickly. All of it is moving us in a kind of an authoritarian direction. It's happening quickly. And we need to be aware of that, because if we don't do something, and we're going to move so far to the right that we're not going to be able to come back. And so this is all very, very scary. But it's a reminder that we need to push back. We can't be intimidated at this moment. And certainly we can't give into these calls to limit speech. Look, Charlie Kirk himself, talked about the importance of free speech. I disagree with most of what he said. Right, some of it I found very, very offensive, but he had a right to say what he said. And our Constitution allows for there to be very ugly speech. But when we start saying that, like, people like Donald Trump or Pam Bondi or Stephen Miller should define what is acceptable speech in this country, boy, that's scary. That really is scary.
Yeah, it's a dangerous, slippery slope. There's no question about it. Especially, I mean, Donald Trump is the king of hate speech, it seems to me. I mean, he has said things like the enemy within and so on. I mean, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Give me a break.
And look at how he's reacted to tragedies when the political violence against Democrats. How he reacted when Paul Pelosi was nearly killed. I mean, I go right to the list. I mean, he's not a nice man. I think he's a lousy president. But we got to deal with him, and we got to fight back.
All right, Congressman Jim McGovern, thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it. And sorry about Duke chiming in there, but sometimes he likes to get in on the act. So.
I'd rather hear Duke than some of the people that I'm talking in my committee right now. So thank you.
I hear you. Some dogs are barking up there too, I believe. Thanks, Congressman. All right, good to talk to you. Really appreciate it. It's Congressman Jim McGovern of Massachusetts. And Duke was involved in that conversation as well. I hope Duke's speech is protected in America. I mean, his speech is always a loving form of speech, but listen, sometimes he has to chime in too. My friends from the Good Liars are going to be here at any moment. Jason Sheldon right there.
Say my name and I shall appear.
You shall appear. And where's Davram? Is he coming? Is he?
He should be.
He's just a bit tardy. Where is he? Yeah. Where is that guy?
I'm not sure.
We'll bring him in a second. But good to see you. And, Jason, I reached out to you because I saw one of your greatest hits on Instagram, and on this conversation about free speech, I thought it was important because, and on hate speech, I mean, Pam Bondi and Trump, and, they just make up what they think hate speech is. But you have actually confronted politicians on their forms of hate speech. And it sounds as though you've talked to a lot of MAGA supporters over the years who are just fine with hate speech as long as it's coming from Donald Trump. But I mean, what do you think about this free speech debate that has cropped up since Charlie Kirk lost his life last week?
I think it's interesting, and I again, like what JD Vance was saying yesterday on Charlie Kirk's show. And first off, like what happened to Charlie Kirk was a tragedy, and it shouldn't be happening in the country. Like we should be able to exchange ideas. And I certainly didn't agree with most of everything that Charlie Kirk had to say, but that just shouldn't be taking place in the country. But to say it's a problem only from the left is simply not true. I mean, there's a list of crimes that have been committed against Democrats by people who identified as Republicans. So I think it's very odd to say it's only coming from the left, because just from going to Trump rallies, like some of the rhetoric that we hear at Trump rallies, like some of the videos we don't even post because it's so bad. A lot of people are like calling for acts of violence and calling for public hangings and things like that. So I think it's a really scary time, and do worry, like the representative was saying, that this will be used as a way to actually limit free speech and to, slide further towards authoritarianism.
Yeah. And you confronted, I was a politician in North Carolina, I believe.
Michelle Morrow, running for superintendent of public instruction in
And,
North Carolina.
and she was saying all kinds of crazy stuff about the Obamas or something like that. Is that right? I think we have that video. We should play that clip and then let's talk about the other side. Because to me, I mean, isn't this hate speech? Let's watch.
Really a fan of all the work that you've done.
Oh, thank you.
I was wondering if I could grab your autograph.
Oh, you're so kind. Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you mind signing this?
No,
This is one of
no.
your tweets. It said Obama did it, Hillary did it, Schiff did it, Comey did it, Holder did it. And then it says death to traitors on there. And I thought that was a great tweet. Do you mind signing it for me?
Sorry, yeah, I do mind signing it for you.
Would you mind
But
just...
nice to meet you.
Well, why won't you sign it? This is your tweet, right? Will you sign this other one where you said...
Exactly.
Will you sign this other one about killing Obama on pay-per-view?
The event's over.
Event's over here. Will you sign the tweet where you said a firing squad for Obama, a pay-per-view death? Michelle, will you sign it? All right. Well, she tweeted it, that she wanted Obama to be killed by a firing squad on pay-per-view, but she wouldn't sign the tweet. So...
Yeah, I mean, Jason, I mean, this is something that has been going on the far right for some time. I mean, it's kind of amazing that all of a sudden Pam Bondi and some of these people want to have this discussion about hate speech. I mean, they sort of like turned hate speech into a cottage industry when Obama was president. And,
Right.
and what did you make of that little exchange you had there?
Well, it was interesting because those, and here's DeVrom.
Here's
he
DeVrom. Hey,
is.
DeVrom.
Hello, everyone.
How can
it
we
was
just have one good liar when we have both? Honestly, that's how it should be.
That's right. That's right. Glad to be here.
Well, what those tweets were from? Oh, there he goes. Those tweets were from.
He's back. Is it something we said? We just started.
He has to make an entrance, and
guys.
he'll do it once or twice.
Right. I love a big entrance. I'll make a few of them coming
Like the
up.
hokey pokey.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's right.
So those tweets were from, I think, 2020, 2021, where she was tweeting this about Obama and, saying death to traitors and things like that. And what was interesting is she was running to be in charge of the public schools and the education in North Carolina. And by the way, she almost won. She lost by a percentage point, I believe. So she wrote these tweets, and then when confronted with them, asked for an autograph, that she said she wouldn't do it, which I thought was a little interesting. Like everyone on the right is like, you gotta stand up for what you believe in, and a lot of people haven't even backed off from some of the things they said in the past. Donald Trump certainly hasn't.
No,
So
exactly.
she didn't embrace it. I guess she didn't go full MAGA. She didn't embrace that. Maybe she would have done better. I hate to say, I don't know, but she ran away, and not only did she run away, she ran away to the wrong place 2 times, and then finally she had 4 options. One was,
is that why you kept having opportunities to talk to her? Because she kept going the wrong way.
There were 4 doors there. She came in one door. She tried to get away another door. Then she had 2 options. She chose wrong again. Then finally, the last option, she made it to her own event, an event for her that she didn't know where it was. So
Good Lord. Well, you can't blame her for trying, but the interesting part about, and DeVron, we should talk about some of your stuff too, because you both have made a point of going to Trump rallies and talking. I always think it's interesting to talk to the people at the Trump rallies. I've done this myself, and just listen to what they have to say. You don't have to really lead the witness too much here. You can just listen to them. And
That's
I think we
right.
have a couple of examples of when you guys have just heard them say the most extreme things, and we should listen. Let's listen to this.
Would you like in your key drop, you young man? I like to be free. I like to have our country back. I want to see some hangings. I want to see Gitmo reopened. Holy fucking shit.
Holy fucking shit, indeed.
Yeah, that was the only thing that came to mind in the moment, but I think it's pretty appropriate.
do you want to
Not
address the
exactly what I
costume?
expected to say. So
Jerome?
yeah, I should set the table there a little
You
bit.
Santa? Is that okay?
I was Q Santa. Christmas was coming up, and Q, we were in the time where Q was dropping, new drops, and that was the most exciting thing to certain people. And so we just went down the line and talked to people while I was in the Santa costume, and this guy was very excited to sit on my knee and
Oh, I see
have
the
a
key
chat.
there.
That's right. That's
Hugh
right.
Kringle, you might say, something along those lines.
Oh, that's good.
That's
good.
perfect. We should
Man,
have
you
used
need to
that.
hire
We
you as
just
a
said
writer.
Hugh Santa Claus, which does not roll off the tongue at
Santa
all.
Claus. Yeah, I don't know.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not as doesn't go as well. But no, but the point is that I mean, for folks who are like, oh, this hate speech, oh, it's just so terrible what we're hearing right now. This has been going on the right for a very long time, ladies and gentlemen. I mean,
it's been going on, and you know, as you said, we're not necessarily leading people to it. I mean, we just said, what would you, for instance, for this guy, what would you like to see? And it's oftentimes it's gleefully people are like, let's bring back, you know, these aspects of the most awful regimes in history. Let's have, you know, public executions and those types of things. Seems like what people have been talking about and aiming for years and years and years. So to hear is coming from one side, and in our experience, there's just endless video of the opposite.
And Jason, I mean, to what do you attribute this? Where do you think this flows from? I mean, I guess maybe I'm asking a leading question now, but it just seems to me that they absorb this from Trump. That's been my experience, my observation. They absorb it from him, other figures of the far right, and a lot of this stuff. Don't you think is the case that you find that they're parroting things that they either heard on Fox or on conservative media or from Trump himself, like some of just almost the exact words that they say.
No, exactly. You'll hear people respond, and sometimes they'll even have the same like gestures as Trump when they're talking about what they want to see happen with the country.
They do this thing or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we hear a lot of like kind of violent fantasies sometimes. And one day that stuck out was on January 5th, 2021. We heard a lot of people talking about how they wanted to, you know, storm the Capitol, and they wanted there to be, you know, people talking about hanging Mike Pence and all these things. And then, of course, on January 6th, they were saying it, and then we saw the results of that firsthand. And also on January 6th, Rudy Giuliani was out there saying we should have trial by combat in his speech there. So there's a lot of what Donald Trump says. There's like kind of like violent undertones to a lot of it. Like, we're going to take the country back. We're doing this. And you see that coming from his supporters as well, where, you know, we've asked people point blank if they would be happy if he was a dictator or if he was an authoritarian. And they answered yes, that would be totally fine with them. So I do think it does, you know, it does come from Donald Trump, but there is like it's not like Donald Trump is the guy who's like the head of the snake. You know, he's like the guy who's started this whole movement, but there's like been an ugly thing, I think, in America for a very long time. And the kind of like a violent fantasy that exists here. And yes,
Donald Trump
used to do a
poem called "The Snake." I mean, I remember he was the head of the snake. He used to do the poem "The Snake" or whatever that thing is.
Wait, what is it? You got to tell me what this is.
Yeah,
have you guys ever heard this before?
No,
when he goes out on the campaign trail, he tells the story about the snake, and it's about this woman who takes in the snake, and the snake bites the woman, and he says, "You knew I was a snake the day you took me in." You can just go and go on YouTube and just have a ball. He's told this parable or whatever you want to call it. It's like a MAGA limerick or something, and he's done it like
it sounds like a little bit of a senior moment he has, and he goes back and he retells the story.
This was the weave before the weave.
Oh, the weave before the weave. Okay.
This was the weave before the weave.
But you were talking about where it comes from, and I didn't think about this until this moment. But I realized Donald Trump directed some violence at me personally once, and this hasn't come up in the last week or so. I haven't thought about this, but we were filming a movie, and there was a moment where I was supposed to interrupt a Trump rally, and I do, and I'm shouting about Jason, who played a character in the movie. And a guy comes up and basically kind of takes a swing at me during the rally. And Donald Trump stops his speech and says, I need people like that working for me.
That's the kind of guy I want working for me.
Working for me, yeah.
Folks.
And so the crowd went nuts. Yeah. And so, you know, that was at a time where we were doing some of these bigger stunts. And that was just a kind of a weird, eerie kind of thing that you know, he was able to kind of direct the mob in that moment. So none of it's new, and we kind of know in large part where it's coming from.
And we have another video, I think, of somebody talking about public hangings or something. let's see if we can watch
Trump becomes
watch
president,
that.
what would you like to see him do to Democrats?
Escort him to the gallows.
Really? You want him to kill his political opponents?
I didn't. You asked me what I wanted to see. You asked me what I wanted to see.
Right, but you want to see Trump
I
kill
wanna
his
see
political?
justice done.
Okay. What would they be sent to the gallows for?
Treason.
Yeah. I mean, Jason, I mean, some of this stuff
Not
is
funny. Not a funny
I was going to say
video,
some of the stuff is funny. Some of it is not. That's yeah. But it's what people say.
Yeah, and it was that was, I think, last March or April in North Carolina, and we do hear like that's not an anomaly. Like I think at least once at a rally, you'll hear somebody say they either want to see all Democrats arrested because they believe some of these QAnon theories, or just because they hate Democrats and they hate liberals. They want to see these public hangings and have people sent to the gallows. So that one like shocked me, mostly because of the laugh afterwards, being like, "No, it's funny. I mean, this is what I want to see." And I'm trying to think back to that gentleman, his backstory. I think he went down like a QAnon rabbit hole and believed that there was like this global cabal of like child sex trafficking going on, and that the Democrats were in charge of that. So I guess if you have like they're some of these people that they're not living in reality, they believe these things are happening, that they're just simply not happening, that maybe they're gonna like feel justified in some violent actions. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and speaking of QAnon and this whole belief of a child sex trafficking ring. Oh, by the way, there's Jeffrey Epstein, and this has been a source of great interest here in Washington for several weeks now. And you guys have been making a point of this as well. I believe you have. We have some. I think one picture of you guys hanging. There it is. Is that Trump Tower in New York?
Yes. Yes.
There's
you can
alleged.
tell by the beautiful marble and the fake gold everywhere. Definitely Trump Tower in New York City.
It's the classiest building in the world. There's so much fake gold, and there's nothing classier than fake gold all over the place. So
if people are wondering why the Oval Office looks the way it does, you really should walk into Trump Tower and check that out. It will be very disturbing. But you guys were making a point. I mean, you're hanging the alleged tawdry letter that Trump sent to Jeffrey Epstein, although, I mean, come on, give me a break. But I mean, it is rather extraordinary, is it, Deram, that they made all of this hay out of the Epstein files, released the Epstein files, Clinton's in there and all these Democrats are in there. So, and Trump won't release the Epstein files. It seems like because he's in them.
That's right. That sure is what it seemed like, and it feels like they spent months and years creating this. And so I think myself and a lot of people had no other choice but to believe that if he were elected, this would certainly be part of it. And certainly people who were following him for the last several years would have believed that he would have released these files because he said he would, and it became a huge part of the campaign. So they created this moment, and they had to know this was going to happen, and they had to know they were going to be covering it up. And
individuals, and the information we have again is limited.
Exactly. There you go.
And there's Kash Patel being asked about it and having a terrible answer for it. But I mean, Jason, it's you can't make up this kind of stuff. I mean, this is like just ridiculous hypocrisy on the part of Trump and Kash Patel and others. We still have the guy. There they are.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on all this?
Well, first of all, Kash Patel, he is so nervous. He looks so nervous at these things. He always looks like he's like in over his head. Like he's like a used car salesman who like hasn't made a sale, and like that guy from The Simpsons. I don't forget his name. But he's like, oh, I'm nervous. Oh, I got to get this right. I keep messing up. Glenn needs a sale. I can't remember. Maybe that's not his name. But he looks so nervous in those situations. But also, it's like, this is a thing where I agree with a lot of Trump supporters. Like, release the files. Like, I want to know it. And a lot of the Trump supporters we've talked to over the years, up until, we've asked them about it, including this year at some events this year, everyone says, release the Epstein files. I want to see that. And we've pressed people being like, Donald Trump is, his name his name, he flew on the plane. We at least knew that at that point. He's on the flight logs,
Right.
and a lot of people, to their credit, was like, hey, if he is like, if it's found that he's done some terrible crimes or was involved in this in some way, then I'll stop supporting Donald Trump. That's what some of the people have said. So I agree with them. I hope they release it. And I do think it's like, if nothing else, very, very suspicious that Donald Trump is saying that this is a Democratic hoax when this is something that his supporters care very, very deeply about. And I don't think it's going to win him any points with them. And even if he's not like, if he's not linked to it, and it just turns out there's like, big donors that are like, you can't let this get out there. Still, that is a big, big story. That is a big, big scandal if that is the case. So hopefully they come out in some way. But I don't know. Maybe when the victims release their list or something like that, we'll have some sort of answers.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing everything in his power to not release them. I mean, it's the exact opposite of what they promised to their own supporters in the run up to all this. And I got to ask you, DeVrom, has anybody caught on to you guys yet? Has anybody said,
on in general?
Your videos get hundreds of thousands? I was looking at this today. Your videos get hundreds of thousands of reposts. So I would think by now, or is it just that because we are in two different worlds or multiple different universes now, that people just aren't even aware of what you guys do? And so when you show up at these Trump events and so on, they're just still not at all onto the game here.
Well, I think what you're saying, that's 90% of it. We're kind of in two different, social media bubbles. And so I don't think the people who are waiting in line at these rallies have watched many of our videos, but I would say it does happen. And the strange thing that happens at that moment is most of those people are very excited and they want to talk to us or take a picture with us or something, which is surprising. Okay. And we've talked to people about that. And at first, it used to be encouraging to me. I was like, well, maybe there is some sort of shared reality or at least some sense of humor about this or some self-awareness. But talking with people about this, someone made a great point, and they just said, it's just that you're on their phones. They've seen you, and they feel like you're, famous in their social media feeds, and kind of that's what got us into all this. Donald Trump being a famous person that they feel like they can follow and latch onto. So in the end of the day, maybe not as encouraging as we'd hoped, but certainly people do recognize us and we're able to just kind of move on and talk to someone else.
Yeah. Jason, people do like to be interviewed. I mean, that is something that I have found. There's some people who definitely don't want to do it. They're shy, whatever. Definitely. They're wanted perhaps, but most people want to do it. And it does help.
Yeah. And also it's like at a Trump rally, you're around so many like-minded people and you're kind of like getting a little drunk on the energy of so many people doing the same chants, saying your shirt's funny, saying you've got a great hat when you've got a MAG hat on, so you're kind of feeling a little high on that. And you're going in there, you want to share your opinion. You want to say these catchphrases because it's like pro wrestling. You want to get out there and you want to say your catchphrases. You want to say, build the wall. You want to say, I don't know what the new ones are. Lock them up. The media is the enemy of the people. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be, let's
release the files. I think is
release the files.
I think that's what they're chanting now.
That would be a great thing. That would be a great chant to get started, actually, DeVrom. Let's write that down.
Yeah.
Next time we go out.
Notes being taken now. Notes being taken.
You need to go with the bullhorn. Release the files. Release the files.
We will give you no credit for that. That was our idea, not your idea. Yes. Okay, good.
Q Kringle, I want credit for that.
Okay, you got that one. You got that one.
All right, we'll have to dig that. We'll have to dig that bit back out. Although the mask was stolen at a later stunt. So
what I appreciate is the craftsmanship you put into the mask. If we could, I don't know if we can show that again.
Well, we should give it a shout out to Michael's. We went there. We bought various different cues. We thought that cue was a little bit playful.
And the mask was a baby mask.
The mask
was like a giant baby mask that we spray painted black. We did this all in the middle of COVID.
It's just lovely.
See, that's a fun.
You can see the baby eyes in there. You see, like those are baby. Yeah. Very odd. It's a little disturbing, to be honest. But we lost that at DeVrom was wearing that at Michael
Michael
Flynn
Flynn
event.
event. Yeah.
So,
We will
they were
see
not
that
very
mask in our
nice.
dreams tonight, unfortunately. I
Yes,
think is what's gonna happen.
unfortunately, yeah.
Well, guys, as I've said before, you're doing the Lord's work, and keep doing it. Thanks so much, and keep those videos coming. When I saw the one, Jason, with you and Michelle Burrow, whatever her name is, the other day, I thought that was a fresh one, but you were like, no, that's one of the greatest hits, and it is.
I wanted to
one.
give you an FYI beforehand. I didn't want you to,
But
lead
it
your
makes a
viewers
great
astray.
point. These goddamn politicians, they should be forced to sign these tweets when they put out that kind of crazy shit. I mean, honestly, it's a great point. So, and I'm sure it was DeVrom's idea. It wasn't your idea, but
Thank you. Appreciate that. I didn't want to be the one to have to say it.
great stuff, guys. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
Good to see you. The Good Liars. You might say they're great. They're great at it. And they're just doing incredible work out there. And I don't know what anybody else thinks. I do consider that to be a form of journalism. They are going out and they are asking these politicians, many of them on the right, obviously, to sign their names to the bile and vitriol and horseshit that they put out there. And I mean, there's a part of me that wants to get them press passes over at the White House and just to see what Trump does, because I can almost guarantee you he has no idea who they are, and it hasn't been brought to their attention. Although maybe Caroline Leavitt has probably seen it just to be ready for that. But I do appreciate the work that they're doing. The other thing that I do want to mention at the very end of this is that my old colleague, Jonathan Karl, I think asked the right question today of Donald Trump. And they have been trying mightily to not have certain reporters back there for chopper talk or these other press opportunities to speak to Donald Trump. And Jonathan Karl, he had an opportunity to ask Trump a question, and he asked the right question. He asked the question about whether or not it's appropriate. Yes, I mean, Donald Trump is going to say these sorts of things. J.D. Vance is going to say these kinds of things, obviously, because he just wants to be the heir apparent. But for the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, she is the chief law enforcement officer of this country, to be threatening Americans over what kind of speech. And there's Jonathan Karl with Donald Trump right there. To have the Attorney General of the United States saying, well, this kind of speech is acceptable, this kind of speech is unacceptable. She's basically trying to lay out what they believe to be unprotected speech in this country. And I have news for everybody. Charlie Kirk himself has said something that is going to blow their minds. He has said that their speech, that any kind of speech, even if it's hateful speech, is protected under the Constitution of the United States. Let me see if I can find this for you. It is something that he has himself said. And to me, it is the ultimate form of hypocrisy. The fact that Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Pam Bondi, and these folks are trying to police people's speech. This is what Charlie Kirk tweeted last year. Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. That's what, and again, you're not going to hear me quote Charlie Kirk a whole hell of a lot. A lot of what he said is just completely unacceptable and out of bounds, but he had the right to say it. And as we just saw in that segment with the Good Liars, for years, far-right conservatives in this country have been posting all sorts of horrendous things about the Obamas and you name it. People should be put to death. They should be held, liable for treason and so on. It's that kind of speech that should have no place in this country. But I got news for you. In many cases, you can't shout fire in a crowded theater, but in many cases, it is legally protected by the Constitution of the United States. I would never burn a flag personally. I don't believe in flag burn. I don't think I don't like it. It bothers me. I consider myself to be a patriotic American and so on. But it's protected speech. If you want to go out there and call the president a son of a bitch, I mean, he himself was out on the campaign trail last year talking about the enemy from within. He was referring to Americans in this country as the enemy from within. That by definition to me is hate speech. When he came down the golden escalator, as he likes to say it, and announced he was running for president back in 2015. You guys remember that? We were just showing the inside of Trump Tower a few moments ago with all the fake gold everywhere. Referred to immigrants coming into this country as rapists and killers and criminals and so on. That's hate speech. How many times? I mean, you name it, go down the list, calling the press the enemy of the people. He has done this time and again. He is the king of hate speech. Donald Trump is the king of hate speech. How in the world can Pam Bondi police the speech of Americans in this country when her boss peddles it almost every day? And then he goes around and sues people like the New York Times. That was just announced today. He's suing the New York Times after he just sued the Wall Street Journal, after getting settlements from CBS and ABC. He sues everybody over speech, and yet he is the king of hate speech. He is one of the biggest liars we've ever seen walk the face of the earth. But that speech is protected. His lies are protected speech. His hate is protected speech. And so how Pam Bondi can turn around and say, you should go rat out your neighbors if they've engaged in some kind of hate speech, call their employers, see if you can get them fired. I mean, this is one of the oldest tricks in Trump's book, get people fired for things that he doesn't like that you say. But it's protected speech. Just like when I say that Donald Trump is the king of hate speech, that's protected speech. It's my opinion. I have the First Amendment. And as one viewer is commenting right now, Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. In a note, as we're wrapping things up here, to that point, to that very good point, at 7 o'clock this evening, I'll be back live again here on Substack, and I think we'll put it up on YouTube as well. That Congressman Ro Khanna, the Democrat from California, who has been leading the charge to release the Epstein files. He was at that press conference just the other day with some of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell up on Capitol Hill with Thomas Massie, the Kentucky Republican. Ro Khanna is going to be joining me tonight at 7 o'clock. So in about 2 hours and 12 minutes, I'll be back up here live with Ro Khanna to talk about the latest in the investigation. And as I was mentioning at the top of this hour, the House Oversight Committee has released some new documents in the Epstein matter. And so, folks, don't get distracted. Donald Trump is going to try to distract you. Pam Bondi is going to try to distract you. J.D. Vance, I mean, he's just trying to stay relevant at this point. They're all trying to distract you. But the fact of the matter is, as I've said many times, Donald Trump stands alone as the one man blocking the Epstein files from being released to the American people. Donald Trump, with the stroke of a pen, I don't even know if he has to sign an executive order. He could auto pen it. I think he could just tell somebody to do it. He could pick up the phone right now and call Kash Patel after he's done getting his ass handed to him up on Capitol Hill. He can call Kash Patel, call Pam Bondi, and say, release the damn Epstein files. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to hear the kind of free speech that's going to be expressed after the Epstein files are released here in Washington. Because Donald Trump knows damn well there's more in those Epstein files than he's probably prepared to talk about at this point. And so we're going to stay on top of it. Ro Khanna joining me in a couple of hours from now. You'll see it right here. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I do want to thank Congressman Jim McGovern for joining me today. And I want to thank Jason and DeVrom from The Good Liars. I hope people got the point of all of that. The people who are accusing others of hate speech right now, they have been peddling it for years, folks. Don't fall for this bullshit. Don't fall for it. In the meantime, thanks everybody for watching. And Duke's speech is protected too, by the way. Duke's right to free speech is definitely protected. I will definitely protect that. But in the meantime, still reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta. I'll see you a little bit later on this evening. Have a good evening.